Oh, my grapeseed extract. Sometimes I say, Dear God, but then that gets boring because I don't like saying God all the time. So I say other things like, Dear Grape, and then that becomes grapeseed, and then that becomes grapeseed extract for whatever reason. Because that's a funny word. I like funny words. So sometimes I'll say, Dear God, I mean, Dear God, dear grapeseed extract. And I think it's funny. I don't know if God thinks it's funny. I find it very difficult to communicate with God. Anyway, I just wasted 30 minutes or 30 seconds. But what I really want to talk about is other things. First of all, if you're actually looking at the screen, there's nothing to see. It's just my finger. It is orange red, and this gives you a chance to not look at anything, but just listen and walk or whatever. I want to share my views on a few things. I don't know how well this is going to go. It's probably going to be like a 35-minute video because that's what always happens. How I discovered that I was a judgmental person. That's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about judgment. I want to talk about waking up to your sin, and I'm not coming from the perspective that I've grown that much, because there's acknowledging and waking up to your sin, and then there is wanting to change, and I haven't reached that point. In fact, I rebel very much from the acknowledgement that I have. But how I grew to understand that I am a judgmental person is through vocalizing the feelings that I have inside. So sometimes I'll feel a certain way, and I will kind of use whatever words I can come up with to vocalize it, and I will use a certain tone that I believe reflects the feelings that I have. And I also believe that that is what we do all the time, that we could in fact communicate through body language and feelings telepathically. I suppose first through feelings telepathically, and then body language is an added bonus. Yeah, we could communicate through feelings, but instead we choose to communicate through words, which I believe is kind of vulgar. You know, some of the words we use and some of our, like if you listen to the Korean language, it's a lot of ka cha ka 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 cha cha cha. Like that to me is a little harsh. I've always enjoyed the French language and maybe the Spanish language, romantic languages. Germanic languages are a little more harsh. That's a terrible, I don't want you to remember that I tried to make a German impression just now. But yeah, so talking can be vulgar, I think, and it's unfortunate that we use that to communicate, but that's what we have at this moment, and that's what I'm using at this moment. So, coming from that belief, I've begun to start to attempt to transcribe the feelings that I have. And what I'll do is, if I'm upset at myself, I'll vocalize it and say, "Oh, you moron! Oh, you stupid idiot! Oh my God, what a fool! What a maroon!" That's something I heard in what's that? Looney Tunes commercial, Looney Tunes show once, way back. What a maroon! But having looked up maroon years later, I think a maroon is not. Maybe I was hearing moron. Anyway, I will vindictively berate myself when I do something wrong, and then I'll also, by way of example, I'll tell you what I do when I see a business that is failing, because I often see businesses as I travel around in my paratransit vehicle, and if there's no one in the business, or if it looks like it hasn't had a lot of people in some time, that triggers this feeling inside of me, where I always felt we had to worry about money growing up in my family, and that always gave me a bad feeling. So instead of feeling that feeling, when I see a business that is failing, I accuse the business, and I say, you stupid. No one wants to buy your stupid product. No one wants your food if it's a restaurant. No one wants to go to your dumb restaurant, you idiot. You stupid fool. Yeah, it gets pretty bad. Um, so I'll vocalize that. So if there's no one in my vehicle at the time, I will say it out loud. And if there's someone in my vehicle, or if I just am not in the mood to say it out loud, I will say it in my head. But ever since starting to vocalize these things, which maybe happened about a year ago, I've realized that it happens a lot. That, any little thing that I do, I will want to judge. And anything that I see other people doing that I find stupid, I will want to judge. And so that is how I found that I am someone who is quick to judgment. And at the same time, I feel like I may not be very clear about myself, about how terrible I am. I think sometimes I want to think that I'm terrible, because then I can not go out into the world and face my fears and go after my passions and whatnot. Because if I'm a terrible person, and I'm the worst there ever was, and I remain in my shame and my own guilt, then I don't have to deal with the fear of attempting to do something with my life. So I think that may be at play. I don't know how judgmental I actually am, but I know that that's where I might go sometimes. And I've also heard from Jesus that if you're judgmental to yourself, you're probably judgmental to others, or vice versa. If you're judgmental to others, you're probably judgmental towards yourself. So there's that. And now I'm thinking about my one friend that is upset when I talk about Jesus all the time. Why do you always got to talk about Jesus? That's all you do in your videos. Well, it's pretty important to me, so that's why I do it. I'm going to talk about boobs. I've been wanting to talk about boobs for a long time. I have boobs, what are called man boobs. I'm looking at my stove right now. There's something, I'm cooking some rice, some brown rice, and some broccoli. I'm trying to get rid of the candida in my body. Candida is a fungus that a lot of people have that is in your gut, I think, and your stomach and whatnot. And if you have a lot of dairy and a lot of sugar, then you're feeding your candida, and that's why you have acne and bloating and gas and other things that are not good. A lot of things are caused by candida. Depression, I think, emotional problems. So something to think about. Anyway, I might have to go and check on them, but I'd really rather talk about this. But I'm telling you about my distractions, which perhaps I shouldn't. Anyway, boobs, right? Boobs, boobs, boobs. Sometimes I'll say boobs. Sometimes I'll sing. What's that song? I'll pick a song. Like, what's that song about being a wretch? A wretch like me. Or I'll sing like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, but I'll just say boobs the whole time, and I think that's hilarious. Because no one can talk about boobs unless it's funny, or they're in the right space to do it. But like everyone knows what boobs are, half the world has boobs, and the other half want to fondle boobs. Well, that's not... Well, maybe that does work. I'm trying to think of I would say that 40% of the world are heterosexual males. But then there's 10% of... Wait, I don't know if that works. Maybe it does. Let's say 40% of the world are heterosexual males, and then 5% are are homosexual males, and they don't want to fondle boobs. But another 5% would be homosexual females, and they want to fondle boobs. Am I right? Wait, is it 45%? I'm going crazy right now. No. Half the world by my calculations, half the world, no, 90% of the world are homosexuals, and then 40% of the world are are ma- for, wait, 45% of the homosexuals are male, and then 45% of the homosexuals are female. Right. So the 45% population of heterosexual males want to fondle women's boobs, at least their soulmates' boobs, I would presume, and presumably their soulmate would want their boobs to be fondled. I don't know if that's sure. I mean, some women may not want that, but from my experience, women like that as long as it's in a private setting and no one is around looking. I'm not sure exactly how that works. My last girlfriend, she probably would not want me to say this, but she, maybe I shouldn't say it. But you know what? I think I'm going to say it anyway. But I think it's hard for me to explain. Like, I was like, "Do you like that?" When I would kiss her boobs and suck on her boobs and yeah, all that stuff. Her nipples. I hate fucking saying nipples. See, I don't know if it's that the language seems vulgar because I'm describing something that is really beautiful, I think, but like when I think about it, but to say it suddenly becomes vulgar. Or maybe that's because I have all this sexual tension around these issues. So that could be what's going on. Anyway, she was like, I don't know. It came down to basically she liked that I liked it. The fact that I wanted to do it, and she was a receptacle. Not to diminish her. That's not what I'm trying to do. But to my desire, she was like a receptacle to my desire. I think that's what was meaningful to her, and it was what was erotic to her. So, yeah, boobs. But I think that people should, women should. So really, I'm saying 50% of the world, yeah, because 45% of homosexual, ah, 40. This is my dyslexia at work. 45% of heterosexual men want to fondle women's boobs, and 5% of lesbian women want to fondle women's boobs. I knew a woman who was a lesbian. She was like, "Yeah, I'm totally a boob woman, or I'm a boob girl," and that meant basically that she loved boobs. She was all about boobs. Big boobs were important to her. This was a woman. So there you go. Yes. So boobs. I just went to change the temperature and turn off I turned off the heat on my broccoli, and I mixed around the rice, and then I put the top back on it. Speaking of putting the top back on it, wait. um, Women wear bras, and I don't know what is it like to have boobs because you can't run because they hit each other. Like boobs will smack each other when they run, and my boobs don't smack each other because they're not that big, and they kind of fall to the side. But I assume if you have large boobs that might happen based on how you're running and how you're turning. If you turn at any point, maybe you want to look back at someone, and your boobs will smash against each other. Anyway, I wonder the efficacy of bras. Why would you wear a bra? Is it because you want to prevent the sloshing that might occur? Is it because you want everything to be stable? Maybe. Of course, the other reason is that you don't want people to like be staring at your boobs all day, which probably happens anyway. But it wouldn't happen as much uh, if you had a bra on. I wanted to say breast because I'm thinking of breasts. I'm thinking about looking at breasts, and perhaps that's dyslexia at work, or perhaps that's my own mental distraction that's preventing me from saying things. Um, but I think that women should feel free to, go out in public without being ogled at. I would want that. Um, Believe it or not, homosexual men have come on to me in my life, and I have not always enjoyed it. Typically, I enjoy it when a woman is attracted to me. I think I get something out of that. It makes me feel good. But when a man is attracted to me, I don't like that. So I usually balk, B-A-L-K at that. Um, yeah, it doesn't feel good because I'm pretty sure I'm not gay, and I see no future or no possibility in a relationship with a man. So that's probably the major reason. But anyway, I wish that women could feel free in our society. I think that's one reason why I'm so against ogling. Maybe it's maybe I was I'm hyper aware of women's issues growing up with three older sisters and a mother, and my father wasn't around for much of my upbringing. Um, Maybe that's what makes me hyper aware. But it's not like we talked about these things. But I think, kind of like pheromones or whatever. It's like a telepathic thing, maybe. Um, but yeah, when I think about it, like I I think some people are turned off by the fact that I don't have major problems showing my body. Um, I would show myself like completely naked if people didn't have a problem with that. But it's kind of the same thing. Like if a woman walked around, bare breasted, bare chested, I don't even know. If she walked around without a bra and a top on and a blouse or a shirt, whatever, then she would probably get a lot of looks, a lot of ogling, and people would shame her and say, "How dare you?" And then a cop might say, "Hey, excuse me, ma'am, you can't be doing that." But like one very funny piece of comedy that I saw from this Chicago, Aries Spears, I think, he was like, the cop would say, "You really shouldn't do that," but give a wink at the same time, like a wink of approval. It's kind of funny. But what am I saying? If a woman walks, bare-breasted on the street, she'll probably get a lot of looks and feel uncomfortable pretty quickly. Myself, if I walked, completely naked, I mean, it probably wouldn't be the same exact reaction, but, if any gay men liked what was going on, then I would feel uncomfortable too, because I'm not interested in gay men. Now, I am interested in women looking at me or finding me attractive, but at the same time, ultimately, most women are not my soulmates. So, my desire to have them peer at me is like this addictive thing. So, yeah, I think that we all need to deal with the fact that we love staring at women's boobs, and especially heterosexual men that are crazy, of which there's a lot of them in the United States and Western countries and most of the world, honestly, probably. That really sucks, but I'm totally for free the nipple. That's what this whole thing was about. And I also like talking about boobs because I like talking about a lot of things. That's another video that I was going to make. I want to talk about reckless honesty. That is my approach to videos. I wanted to make a video about reckless honesty. And basically, I want everything, and I've talked about this before, it's just this weird thing with me. I want everything that is under the rug, that is swept under the rug, to be unswept from out underneath the rug. So, like everything, cobwebs and spiders and everything that no one wants to talk about, everyone should now want to talk about. That's my approach. But of course, not everyone wants to talk about those things, so my channel, for what it's worth, is a venue, is a forum to talk about those things. Of course, it's just me talking about those things. So, sucks for you if you are not interested. But, that's your option. You don't have to listen. You don't have to watch. And if my videos keep popping up on your YouTube feed, you can just, tap on the 3 dots and say not interested. And then you won't see them anymore. So YouTube is good for that. And I am grateful for YouTube. I probably have like 6 minutes left. So where can I get with all this? I think that's really what I wanted to say. And I was going to make a whole video on it, but that's really all. I guess one last thing that I want to say, and this won't be the last thing because it often happens that the last thing is only the second to last thing. But I want to talk about, well, yeah, it's not a big thing, but I just wanted to say that it's interesting that I often, think about the videos that I'm making and how few people watch them. And I know I'm a broken record here talking about that. But I really do think that I should stop. Like I was thinking today that I should like go on a 2 month hiatus, maybe a month hiatus. I first thought it was I should do a 2 month, and then I thought, well, maybe just a month. And now here I am making this like 20 to 30 minute video. And because there's just so much inside of me, I think about it all the time. And I wonder, is it an itch, like an addictive itch to want to make videos? Am I seeking validation? A friend of mine, I would call him a friend, brother, that I loved the work that he was doing, the videos that he was making. I feel that they're far superior to mine. He stopped, he like took, I don't know if he deleted his videos or what, but there's no more content on his channel. He used to make, videos kind of regularly. He's been changing, which is exciting. He's been growing, and I'm kind of excited that, good things will probably happen for him. But anyway, he in the about section of his channel, he said, I'm not here to get approval from people. And that really, struck a chord with me, because I looked to his videos for inspiration and stuff like that. And I don't know, maybe that's wrong too. I often think of I feel like everything that I'm doing is sinning. I'm very angry with God recently. It doesn't come through right now, but I don't know. It's like up and down. But like when I think of the things that I do and how almost everything is a sin, I get really upset. And just the other day, it was like a day or two ago, I was like, fuck this noise. I hate this shit. I'm not going to pursue a relationship with you, God. I just want to be, I know I'm going to incur further suffering and pain through the law of compensation, because everything that you do that is wrong, there is an equal and opposite, penalty, or whatever you want to call it, in return as compensation for the wrong. And, conversely, for everything that's good, there's a good compensation. But when I think of all the things that I do wrong, and I'm not entirely sure what I do wrong, like I talked about earlier, self-judgment is wrong, judging others is wrong, and how much I am really sure that I do that. And I know I'm nixing what I'm saying earlier, but I do wonder about it. Am I blowing it out of proportion to, as I have said, stay in shame? Are you following me? Is this too much of a ramble? I'm not sure. I think a lot of people are smart, and so I think they can follow. But yeah, I just think about my addictions. I have so many addictions. I have addictions to food. I have addictions to eating meat, eating dairy, pornography, ogling women, fantasizing about women if I don't have pornography, at close range, laying down on my back, just doing nothing, just watching videos, so that's another addiction, watching YouTube videos. Being quiet, I guess, is another thing that I just heard Jesus talk about recently. Not speaking up, and I really don't. I think maybe more than the average Joe, maybe a little more, but I'm talking about like at your job, at your workplace, when someone is doing something wrong, anywhere, it could be anywhere. Or even if you have a friend, which I do, which they do things wrong, and you just tolerate it. You think you just accept it. It's wrong to just accept it and say nothing, because they're doing it in your company. And you have the opportunity, but you don't take the opportunity. But, even that, being quiet, just letting things go, that shit is going to snowball. Everything that you do that is wrong, that isn't checked, is going to snowball. And I believe strongly that people need to check things. But, I say that, but I don't really follow through in my own personal life. I think this video is going to cut out. So obviously there's probably another 30 minutes to an hour of things that I want to say. I'm going to dabble with the idea of not making videos for a month, because I think this could be yet another addiction. And I guess to put a fine point on what I was saying, the amount of sin that I do is so upsetting to me. And I just want to rebel against that. And I'm so fucking upset with God, and I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of this idea that I need to redeem myself and make the right choice in every fucking setting. I can't fucking do it. That's my personal feelings right now. I can't do it. I don't know. Sometimes I think about what the kingdom of heaven is like and perfection is like, and gosh, I'd love to have that, But I don't know what that is. It's this dream that you don't see. What I see is movies where the good guy, so called, kills the bad guy, so called. And this is the common fare. This is what we consume and eat on a regular basis. Is this we're surrounded by violence, and I wish I could bring better examples to bear, but I'm finding myself more and more eloquent up as I'm up against or less and less eloquent as I'm up against the fact that I'm going to run out of disk space on my phone, so I got to call it quits. So that's my feelings in a nutshell. If I've done my if I've done okay to tell you that I feel very rebellious towards God and angry with God, and Jesus keeps on saying that this is it's us that do it, and we put ourselves in our own bad situation. But to me, it's like the gift of free will is not a gift. That's how I feel. The gift of life is not a gift. That's how I feel. And I know that's not inspirational to you, but I kind of hope that other people can get there, that other people can get perfection and become at one with God, even if I can't. Maybe that's not true. Maybe I have more vindictive feelings at heart, but I would like to see more examples of that, because it's hard for me to envision it. But that's also me like waiting for other people to do things without taking the initiative myself. So I really got to end there. And for what it's worth, here's my video.